session. We've received apologies today from Senator Neil Richmond, and I'd like those to be noted. And I'd like to remind members to ensure that their mobile phones are switched off or put on silent as they cause problems. Now, I'm delighted today that we have engagement on the priorities of the Romanian presidency of the Council of the European Union, and Her Excellency Mrs. Manuel Brazu, the Ambassador of Romania to Ireland, is here today. And on behalf of the committee members, the Vice Chairman, myself and the Secretariat, we'd really like to welcome you here. We want to thank you for being here and giving of your time and your officials, and to welcome the people here in the public gallery. I'd like to congratulate Romania on assuming the presidency of the Council of the European Union at the start of this month. This is Romania's first time to host the presidency since joining the EU back in 2007. It's an exciting time, and we wish you every success with that. Before we begin, I have to remind everyone of the rules on privilege. Members are reminded of the long-standing parliamentary practice to the effect that members should not comment on, criticise or make charges against a person outside the Houses or an official, either by name or in such way as to make them identifiable. By virtue of Section 1712 of the Defamation Act 2009, witnesses are protected by absolute privilege in respect of their evidence to this committee. If you are directed by the committee to cease giving evidence in relation to a particular matter, and you continue to do so, you are thereafter only entitled to qualified privilege in respect of your evidence. You are directed that only evidence connected with the subject matter of these proceedings is to be given, and you are asked to respect the parliamentary practice to the effect that, where possible, you should not criticise nor make charges against any persons or identity by name or in such a way as to make him or her identifiable. Ambassador, I'd now like to ask you to make your opening statement, and our committee are really looking forward to meeting with you today. We know that you are an excellent ambassador, very respectable, very hard-working, and we thank you for taking time out to be here with us today.
Oh, it's on. Chairman, thank you very much for your opening statement and for welcoming me. I would like to thank the members of the Dáil and the Senate as well, taking time and being quite a good number attendance to my presentation of the first ever priorities of Romania as President of the Council of the European Union. I would like to thank my colleagues from the embassies who are here present as well. Before starting the presentation, I would like to congratulate the Dáil for the recent anniversary of 100 years in the first sitting of the Dáil, and to thank the members of the Parliament for inviting us, ambassadors, as ambassadors or representatives of our speakers, to attend this very important event. On this note, I would like to make my opening statement, thanking you, the Joint Committee on European Affairs, for regularly organizing meetings with the incoming presidency of the Council of the European Union, as well as for the constant engagement with European missions in Dublin. I'm honored to be here today as part of this active dialogue on European affairs, and I'm particularly honored that it's for the first time in its history that Romania holds the presidency of the Council of the European Union, and for me, a big honor to represent my country on this momentous occasion. Our first ever presidency is taking place against a backdrop of large-scale developments that will determine the shape of the Union, the reflection on the future of Europe, the withdrawal of the UK from the EU, the transition towards a new legislative cycle as a result of the European elections in May 2019, and implicitly the end of the European Commission and European Parliament's terms of office. Common efforts of the Member States and of the EU institutions are needed in order to identify workable solutions to major challenges of the European unification project is currently facing. Brexit takes the European Union into a new reality, while striking for strong and close future relations with the UK. This process, must be orderly managed and the unity of the EU 27 maintained while striking for close and future relationship with UK. The EU is stepping into a new phase after Brexit, and the Presidency should act in order to shape, together with the Member States and the EU institutions, a strategic frame for its future. In this context, a landmark of our Presidency will be the Sibiu Informal Leaders Summit on 9 May, 2 weeks before the European elections. We see this summit as a crucial moment to raise awareness among the citizens about the added value generated by the EU and to send a message of unity within the Union. Furthermore, the end of the current EU institutional cycle translates into a high number of pending files that reflect key priorities for the future of our Union and its citizens. We have set a high level of ambition in achieving tangible results while also adopting a realistic approach. For this reason, in the first half of its term, the Romanian presidency will focus its effort on advancing with the legislative process in order to finalize as many files as possible. Work will continue assiduously in the second half of our term, with the non-legislative files equally important and complex. The Union of the future needs a solid and appropriate budgetary framework and resources in order to achieve the objectives of the following 7 years. The European budget is a reflection of how we see the European Union in the future. That is why we need to make sure that the results of the negotiations on the future multi-annual budget are equally balanced and well calibrated to the realities that the European citizens perceive day by day. In this vein, another topic on our agenda is moving forward with the negotiations on the multi-annual financial framework, which is a flagship file for our presidency. From this point of view, we will make all efforts to prepare the grounds for a timely agreement on the next multi-annual financial framework. While holding the presidency of the Council of the European Union, Romania will act as a genuine and honest broker in order to find solutions that enable progress on the European agenda. We are convinced that the key to this path is cohesion, and this is why we have chosen as our motto and central theme of our presidency, cohesion as a common European value, which recalls the principle of unity of the member states and outlines the importance of cohesion policy and its key role in attaining the objective of reducing economic, social and regional disparities among member states and their citizens. Within this paradigm of cohesion, we have defined our presidency's priorities assigned to 4 pillars of actions as follows. Pillar 1, European of Convergence. Our presidency aims at bringing a contribution to ensuring convergence and cohesion in Europe for a sustainable and equitable development for all citizens and member states by enhancing competitiveness and closing development gaps, social progress, promoting connectivity and digitalization, stimulating entrepreneurship and strengthening industrial policy. Taking forward the negotiation process on the 2021-2027 multi-annual financial framework will be an overarching objective throughout our presidency. Pillar 2, a safer Europe. Our presidency aims at consolidating a safer Europe through increased cohesion among EU member states in dealing with the new security challenges that threaten the safety of citizens and through supporting the cooperation initiatives in this field. Migration will continue to be a topic intensely debated in Europe, and our action needs to be comprehensive, both on the internal and external management aspects of migration. Pillar 3, Europe as a stronger global actor. During our mandate, we will aim at further consolidating the global role of the EU through promoting the enlargement policy, a more active role of Europe in Africa and South Asia, in promoting multilateralism, the European action in its neighbourhood, further implementing the global strategy, offering the necessary resources for the EU, and implementing all of the EU's global commitments. The EU's action in the eastern neighbourhood will benefit from a favourable context during the first semester of 2019, when we celebrate the 10th anniversary of the launch of the Eastern Partnership. The enlargement policy, as an instrument capable of extending stability and prosperity across Europe, will represent another important topic which contributes to a safer and more prosperous future for the European Union. Pillar 4, Europe of Common Values. Our presidency aims at stimulating the solidarity and cohesion of the EU by promoting policies to fight discrimination, encourage equal opportunities and equal treatment for men and women, and increase citizens' involvement in European debates. All EU policies and action should be underpinned by European values and principles as provided by the treaties. At the same time, advancing on the European project should be done through a united, inclusive and open approach of all member states. There cannot be division throughout the Union, and this is a key message to reinforce citizen trust. Now I have a paragraph on the calendar of the Romanian presidency, but this will just point out to how many thousands of technical meetings and hundreds of important meetings there will be held in Brussels, Luxembourg, Strasbourg, and Bucharest. But then, just to end up my presentation, last but not least, the following 6 months are also a great chance to bring Romania closer to the citizens of the other member states, to present a European country deeply anchored in the cultural and spiritual tradition of the European continent. We are definitely looking forward to it. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ambassador. And I'd like to go first of all to our Vice Chairman, Senator Terry Leydon.
Ambassador, very welcome indeed. And just to thank you for coming here today to outline the plans for Romania for the presidency of the European Union. As the Chairman has already said, it's a great honour for Romania, and I no doubt you'll do a very good job on that preparation, because you're now members for a good period of time, 11 years, and there's a lot of preparation went into the work in relation to the presidency. It also is the most historical period since the foundation of the European Union and the EEC, because of what's happening in relation to the United Kingdom. And it is a sad period in a sense if it comes to be reality that the United Kingdom leave the European Union. It'll be a lesser organisation without them, let's be honest about it, but that's their decision at this point in time, and we'll have to work with that when it becomes a reality. Now, just on Monday, our committee here were invited, and our chairperson, to the meeting of COSAC, which was held in Romania. So, just say we couldn't attend as members. We were represented by officials and by the ambassador there, but we will, please God, be attending the June meeting of COSAC in Romania because of the 100th anniversary. As you know, you attended yourself, of Dáil Éireann. It was very significant for members here to be present on that day in memory and recognition of the contribution made by those brave men and women who established. She
Yes.
was, that's what I said. I welcomed the ambassador. I dined with the ambassador actually.
I enjoyed it very much.
And I met the ambassador last week at the French embassy as well. And I know that you're one of the longest serving ambassadors to Ireland. So you're very familiar. So you must be doing an excellent job as well. I'd like to welcome the Spanish ambassador here as well, who's taken a position, and he'd be a regular attender here as well. I want to welcome all the representatives of the embassies here who take a great interest in the work of the European Union Committee. What I know about Romania, and I look forward to going to Romania, it's a beautiful country, of course, on the Black Sea, and the tourism has enormous potential. I noticed from my little research there, I don't think Ryanair are flying directly to, maybe so, you can check that for me, and maybe they're flying indirectly to Romania from other countries. So that's good, but they're not flying directly from Dublin.
From Dublin, two companies,
yes, well, I couldn't
Blue Air, Romanian company,
you might elaborate on
competing to Ryanair, your company.
Well, that's, you might just, I couldn't find it
it's
here.
Beneficial, but.
And I looked up a flight to Romania, I didn't find them in it, so that's maybe they're remiss. And of course, we have a link through Bran Stroker, of course, to the clifftop Bran Castle in Romania, which is a very popular visiting place for tourism. But your work here in Ireland is very much appreciated, and I think you have established tremendous contact with all the departments of state, foreign affairs and European affairs ministers. So you're very familiar with the work of the European Union, and indeed you're very familiar with Ireland as well. So I think you're the conduit between Ireland and Romania, and I want to thank you for your work. I mean, Romania is a substantially large country with 19.64 million. I mean, it's a very strong economy now, and I think being members of the European Union has been a great boost to Romania, because you know, you have a very troubled history of the past, and I know that you've embraced democracy with great enthusiasm, and you've embraced the membership of the European Union with great enthusiasm. And I appreciate that, and thank you for that. And we look forward here, Chairman and our members, in working with you as representative of Romania, and working with ministerial contacts who will be coming over during the presidency. Probably European Affairs Committee of the Romanian Parliament, I presume our chairman would be in touch with them and their secretariat. Some stage during the next 6 months, hopefully we'll have a delegation from Romania to here, and I look forward for this committee visiting for a COSAC meeting later on in June. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. And Senator Paul Coughlin, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. And again, I'm very delighted to meet the Romanian Ambassador again for the third or fourth time. And I think you did enjoy very much the commemorative event on Monday, and indeed the night before with the Count Quarter. And I do congratulate you and indeed your people, your country, on assuming the presidency of the European Union, and congratulate you too on the ambitious goals you've set out yourself for your period of presidency with these various pillars, as you call them. I hope you'll be successful, but I've no doubt you'll make a brave attempt. It's going to be a very difficult period, as has been said, particularly with the UK withdrawing, which will add to your woes, perhaps. We hope things will work out reasonably well, but that all depends on what is going to happen in the next week or two in Westminster. And we have to be positive, but we have to prepare for maybe not being as positive as we would like to be. So anyway, I wish you very well, and you'll always have the support of this committee, I can assure you, during your term here in Ireland and during your presidency. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. Deputy Seán Haughey, please.
Thank you, Chairman. And again, I too would like to welcome the Ambassador to our meeting. Romania is taking over the presidency at a very challenging time. You outlined some of the challenges there yourself in relation to the reflection on the future of Europe, the withdrawal of the UK from the EU, the European Parliament elections, and the end of the legislative cycle. So it's a busy time, and I've no doubt, Ambassador, that you are aware, more than fully aware, of the concerns of Ireland in relation to the Brexit situation, and that's obviously evolving as we speak, and your support for the Irish position is greatly appreciated in that regard. Just one issue, there was an article in the Irish Times on the 2nd of January where the European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker voiced fears that Romania's fiery domestic disputes and populist politics could be unwanted distractions at a time when the bloc aims to show strength and unity over Brexit. Presumably you would reject those sentiments allegedly attributed to Jean-Claude Juncker. And I'd welcome your views on that, just about the domestic political situation in Romania and the street protests and so forth. But I don't want to strike a discordant note. You have our full support in your endeavours, and as I say, it's a very challenging time. Just in relation, you mentioned migration there as well. I'd be interested to know the views of the domestic views in relation to migration in Romania. Obviously, it's one of the biggest challenges facing the European Union at this time. And different nation states come to it with different perspectives. So I would be interested to know the Romanian perspective in relation to migration and how that might be solved at European Council level in the coming months, and the general view of Romania in relation to the proposals to solve that issue at this time.
Thank you very much, Deputy Bernard Durkan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ambassador, I want to, like other speakers, welcome you to our meeting and to wish you well during the Romanian presidency. I have no doubt you will do a good job. And notwithstanding the fact that you do so, your country comes into the presidency at a very trying time. And as you were at our centenary celebrations the last couple of days, it's amazing to ponder on how things have changed over the last 100 years. And in some ways, they haven't changed at all. Some of the same issues were a topical debate 100 years ago as they are today. Sadly and unfortunately so, Mr. Chairman. But I would like to, I would like other speakers, thank you and the other European member states for their support in the context of the negotiations that have been taking place, still unfinished. And these are, as we all know, very important negotiations. Very trying time for this country and for the European Union. This is not just a test of Ireland's mettle or of the UK's mettle. This is a test of the mettle of the European Union and what the European Union stands for in the future. And whatever comes out of this will have a long and lasting impact on the European Union, its composition, its attitude to the world and the world's attitude to it. I think it's important that we should recognise right now that, you know, whatever is decided, whatever is eventually decided, it must be with the agreement of all concerned, and that there should be no coercion, and that nobody should be kicked into a direction of having to go there or else. And I think that applies right across Europe as well. And we've mentioned and discussed here in our meetings many, many times in the past that each and every one of us who are members of the European community have a commitment. We have a role to play, whatever that role may be. And that role changes from time to time. But cohesion, which you mentioned in your own speech, is hugely important. Because there were, 100 years ago, there were troubled times across Europe. There were people deciding which way they should go. And they went in different directions. And ultimately, it was a huge calamity. Where they were heading, and it was obviously known to many people at the time, that the route they were taking was the wrong route. So we've had 100 years to ponder. We've learned a lot in the meantime. We've had the advances of technology and science in the meantime. We hope that we can put that to good use in the time that lies ahead. And my final comment would be, we hope that when finally the Brexit issue is resolved, that it is resolved satisfactorily from the point of view of Ireland, which happens to be that also of the European Union, and the point of view also of our overseas neighbours in the UK. The presumption that you know, we'll have to take what we get, emerging in some quarters in recent times, is not well placed. A dangerous presumption, dangerous way for Europe to go, a dangerous way for Europe to be propelled in the future. So my hope and my wish would be that the remaining time available in relation to the Brexit negotiations be put to very good use to mend any fences that have broken down or fallen down, and to simply say this, that populism has been referred to already. Many countries across the globe have an upsurge of populism at the present time. Not a great idea. It hasn't worked in the past. It led to mass destruction in the past. And a short time out for everybody to read a little bit of our most recent history should be sufficient to tell us all on the route that we should not go. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy and Ambassador. I'd like to just pose a couple of little questions myself. I was very interested to hear about Romania's plans to consider the future of Europe and the significant meeting in Cebu. And what other plans do you have in the lead up to that meeting in Cebu, and what exactly you'd like to see come out of that engagement? It's very important. The timing of it could not be more important considering what is happening at present with Brexit. So that would be one item. How far do you think the presidency will be able to progress the enlargement files for the countries of the Western Balkans, and what is your own personal opinion of that? Obviously, as ambassador, you would have other views, but your own personal opinion, I'd just be very interested in that. And a number of countries and the European Commission have raised some concerns about the state of the rule of law in some of the member states. Would you share those concerns? And how do you think the presidency, your presidency, will be able to deal with, hopefully progress, and deal with those issues and the problems with rule of law in some of those states? And again, what would your own feeling and your own sentiment be on that? And thanks for taking your time with this matter.
Well, thank you. Before coming here, I had a vague hope that it would be easy. But no, it's not going to be easy. You put quite difficult questions. So I'm trying to respond to all of them. First of all, thank you for the comments that you made about my country and about the relationship between Romania and Ireland. Yes, I have worked hard in the last 5 years since I've been here to advance the bilateral dialogue, and I think one of the most active and important events in our bilateral relations were the strengthening of the parliamentary relations. So we had many visits at the higher level between the speakers of the House, the various committees, delegations here. So I think it's a much better understanding between Romania and Ireland in the last 5 years. Brexit, I don't know with what to... you mentioned 100 years, how much we have progressed in 100 years. Romania as well celebrated last year 100 years of its centenary of the modern state Romania. Since I've been here, I've been a witness of many important events. Your 100 years since Eastern Revolution, 100 years of the Dáil, 100 years of Romanian centenary. But also very important is that this year we celebrate 30 years in the fall of communism. I don't think we should forget that. And actually, my colleagues from the European Union know, because I shared this with them, waking up in January, preparing myself to come as an ambassador for a country that holds the presidency of the European Council of the European Union was very emotional to me, because Romania and Europe has changed a lot in the last 30 years. If in 1989, in January, I was just an engineer getting ready after my maternity leave to go to take up my role as an engineer in a big petrochemical complex on the Black Sea coast, having no hope that things will be better. On the contrary, it was a very gloomy prospect of ex-dictator Ceausescu tightening the grip on Romania and his idea to lead us to a much more controlled and totalitarian regime. Then here in 2019, not only that we are in the European Union, we are president of the Council of the European Union, I'm an ambassador for Romania. So it's a big honor and a big responsibility. So we should never forget how Europe has changed, mainly for us, I would say, the citizens of a country that lived for 45 years in a dictatorial regime. That's why I think presidency for us has even a more important connotation, because Ireland has been in Europe for how many years? 40 years now, has been president for 4 or 6 years. Sometimes for you, it's been there, done that, we just continue. For us, it's the first time in our history, and it has to be good and to prove that Romania has irreversibly changed. And I don't think we should prove this, because we have already been for 12 years members of the European Union. So then I come to your question about Jean-Claude Juncker's declaration on the 2nd of January. Now, I don't remember exactly the date, 2nd of January, but when he came to Romania for the formal launching of the presidency, I think he changed his opinion, and he saw, or he realized, that Romania is ready to assume all its obligations. As you know, political parties in any countries, and opposition and governing party, they are in opposition, and they should be in opposition, and they have to have some conflicts, otherwise they will not be in opposition. But this is an overarching objective of foreign policy of Romania, and I am confident, and not only me, the government, the president of Romania is confident that the presidency will show Romania at its best. And I'm here to prove this as well. Of course, I'm an ambassador only one ambassador in a country of the European Union, but even I, myself, at this role, a modest role, maybe in the whole equation of European Union presidency, I will prove that Romania is ready, committed to show that it has capacity to manage difficult dossiers. And the other question was? Migration. I will tell you about Romania's migration sort of outline policy. So it is a controversial issue within the European Union. Romania, in its capacity of President of the Council of the European Union, would like to smoothen the asperities and to reconcile all the positions, the countries that would like quota, the countries that don't like quota or they don't want quota. But with respect to Romania, so in the intra-EU relocation program, Romania already relocated 728 persons. So also Romania advanced an offer of relocation towards Italy and Greece for 2,100 persons as well, one of the most consistent contribution among member states. Resettlement, we transferred 43 Syrian refugees, and in 2018-2019 we are going to take another 109 refugees, Syrian refugees from Turkey. Also, Romania was one of the main contributors to Frontex. With experts, 180 experts were sent to Frontex, and we had other technical contributions, equipment, vessels, helicopters, all sorts of thermovision vehicles, if you want, an intervention, 32 other vehicles of intervention. But as I mentioned, migration, let me look exactly, because when it's about my opinion, it's easy to express my opinion. When it's the opinion of the Presidency of the Council, then it's more difficult. So, of course, it is another very important component of the European agenda. Romania as presidency would like to have a comprehensive approach, paying a special attention to the external dimension, strengthening the cooperation with the countries of origin and the transit, but as well looking to internal security of migration aspects. Romania hopes that the summit that will be organized, EU Arab League of Arab States, will take under the presence of Romania place. So we hope that we'll reach some progress there. And of course, it's an approach that should tackle the problems in the country of origin, development, aiding. I know this, in this respect, we share the Irish position as well. So we will make all the efforts to advance, to forward the negotiation in this difficult chapter, remaining a sensitive chapter in European Union debate. But Romania and Europe has invested a lot of energy, considerable energy, and Romania will try to coagulate all the opinions in order to forward the dossier during its presidency. Of course, this is the overarching principle under which Romania will act. And with respect to Brexit, well, Brexit is another sort of personal issue for me. I'm married to a British citizen. My husband is British. So we surpassed the conflictual, very conflictual initial days after the referendum. However, the situation with Brexit hasn't become simpler, not for Britain, not for Ireland, not for European Union. Romania, as you well mentioned, was a supporter and solidary with the Irish positions, circumscribing its position to the solidary EU position on this. So we reiterate the support for Irish position as well. Romania would not like to see a hard border between Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland. I was impressed by a declaration that the Foreign Minister of Germany had recently here in Dublin, saying that the border is a matter of identity, of European identity. Needless to say, you know better than me, the ball is in the hands of Britain. Once UK will come with its position, I think it will be easier for everybody, including Romania as presidency of the Council, to take the steps forward. Personal consideration, I can make a lot about this, how I felt. You said about the impact that Brexit would have on Ireland. My view at the time of referendum's result was that actually, paradoxically, our countries in the eastern part of Europe will be even more affected. And I will maybe not enter into details, not only because the cohesion funds and the way they will be directed, or the cohesion bond will be limited, but also because European Union is not the same as it was when we really dreamed of joining European Union. European Union has changed, and I want European to become what was the dream to join years ago. So European should become a place of peace, of prosperity, which in big part it is. And we come down back to the enlargement process. So enlargement process is very important. And I will recall, if I were any candidate member now, I will think as I was thinking many, many years ago, that European Union is an ideal. We have to join because we want to be part of the democratic and prosperous countries and the countries that are governed by the rule of law. This is what we want it to become. And I perfectly understand the countries that are in line to join the European Union. In this respect, I think it is a guarantee that European Union has not lost its relevance. So there are a lot of critics of the European Union inside or outside the European Union. But all these 100 and I don't know, I made the calculation, if you put Turkey and Ukraine and Republic of Moldova and Georgia and the Balkan country, there are over 100 million people who would like to become members of the European Union. This says something about the values of European Union, which we should defend. So Romania is in favor of the enlargement of the European Union, and we'll try to advance with the dossier. Yes, my counselor shows me the future of Europe debate here. Yes, to finish with the enlargement, I think it's very important to unite. Now, it's a gap between what was before Eastern Europe and Western Europe. It's something, a gap in between. And also, we should never forget the countries of the Eastern Partnership, which are the eastern border of EU, which is actually the closest we are to that part of the world. We want a prosperous, we want to be surrounded by a space of peace and predictability and prosperity. With regard to the future of Europe, all this is another very important topic. All the countries have been through this process of future of Europe debate, and I was following with great interest the debate in Ireland, and I was delighted to see that in this debate there were included also the representatives of the communities, the minorities, including Romanian or the new communities. So I think it was a very successful process in Ireland. The summit in Sibiu will be another opportunity for the leaders to get together and to share their views. What do we expect from what do we expect, what do you expect, what Europe expects? Expects a vision of the Europe that is in line with the citizens' expectations. I think it was a very important process to share the views with the voters, with the citizens who need to feel European Union closer. Me studying now the European Union, somebody, no, Senator, you said that I'm an expert on the European Union. No, I will contradict you publicly. It's on the record. I'm not an expert in the European Union. It's a very complicated mechanism, European Union. And that's why I feel that European Union should be better explained to the people, to understand the benefits, to talk as well of how European Union has shaped Europe and its obligation to continue the transformation, and in what way are we going to transform European Union, not to dispel the populist tendencies that emerged quite surprisingly for me in the last years. I don't know if I have anything else to add. Did I respond to everybody?
You did, yes. And could I just say, Ambassador, thank you very much for that, first of all, because I think that the timing of today's meeting is very, very important. And the fact that you were able to take time to come here, because it just shows the work plan that you have for the next 6 months. It's a great honour on any country to assume the role that your country has. It's a great time for you as Ambassador to Ireland. It has challenges, but it's also obviously, from a work perspective, it's going to be an exciting time. And I'm sure that it's a challenge that you and the people that work with you will all rise to the challenge over the next 5 to 6 months. And I want to thank you on behalf of the committee for being here today. We always appreciate our engagements with you. You were very excellent, and we'd just like for you to relay our best wishes for the next 6 months to your people, to your country. And now what we must do is we'll have to suspend for a few moments just to allow the ambassador to leave, and then so the meeting stands suspended and we'll come back in private session.